you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. And let me go ahead and say this. I say it all the time, but if you love the gossip of college football, like the games on the field are great, but the gossip, the rumor, the innuendo, the message board stuff, really from about mid-November till Christmas time or so, that is really the time of the year where things just get a little crazy in college football. We have, listen, the playoff is all set and everything, but we have the coaching carousel that starts in November. We have the transfer portal. We have National Signing Day. Kids are flipping. Kids are entering the portal. Kids are leaving the portal. Just absolute chaos in these college football streets, as there is just one rumor, innuendo after the other, after the other, after the other. I bring it up because amidst all of the chaos of December in college football, I will also add, it takes a lot for a story to stick out and just perk up your ears and make you go, whoa, did I just hear or did I just read what I think I did? But that's exactly what happened on Wednesday when I saw a story and I saw a rumor that was so jarring and gossipy and interesting from a credible news outlet, mind you, that I knew I had to come out here and talk about it today. All right, so the situation stems, it starts with an article from my buddy Trey Wallace from Outkick.com, okay? Trey's a good buddy of mine, known him forever. He works for Outkick. I think he's as good of a college football reporter as there is in the business. Super plugged in, knows people, talks to people. Everything he puts out is well-sourced, well-informational, whatever. I bring it up because on Wednesday, he put out a story basically about all of the behind-the-scenes shenanigans now in the NIL portal world. Basically, players going up to their coaches and saying, "Coach, I love you, but that school offered me this, so I'm going to go ahead and bounce there." Or that school offered me that. Can you go ahead and match it so that I can stay where we are right now? Now, listen, in a perfect world, you have an agent for that. In a perfect world, you go to the collective and not the head coach. But these are the conversations that are happening. And again, just chaos. I bring it up because in Trey's article, there was one little blurb that was so crazy. I couldn't believe it when I read it. And I want to read it to you now, and I want to react to it because this is insane. It stems from Carson Beck, the quarterback at Georgia, okay? And what Trey did was he linked to an article from dogdaily.com, which is one of the more credible outlets, one of the most credible outlets covering Georgia football on the net. They're there. They're in Athens. They cover the team every day. They're really good at what they do. Excellent at what they do. I bring it up because here was a little nugget in one of their articles earlier this week. The article dropped on December 5th, which was Tuesday. In the article, here is what they said about Carson Beck. I'm quoting them verbatim, so nobody says that I misquoted them. It says, quote, "If Carson Beck is staying," so the article basically references who's coming back, who's staying. Is Carson Beck, this really talented quarterback, potentially coming back for another year? It said, "If Carson Beck is staying, there are sources saying he is asking for upwards of $4 million with Brock Vandagriff having entered the portal. He would surely play in the Orange Bowl." And so it's kind of crazy because the article itself is about the Orange Bowl, who's playing, who's coming, who's going. But in it, there is a little nugget that reportedly, that according to multiple sources, Carson Beck or his representation is asking for $4 million to come back to Georgia for another year. Let me say this. I cover this stuff pretty well. I think I'm pretty well sourced. I bring it up to say, if that is accurate, and I have no reason not to believe it, Dog Daily is great at what they do. That is the highest single dollar amount I have ever heard of a player requesting from a collective to return to school. Now, I'll say this. I think there are guys, Caleb Williams, I live in LA. $4 million was about what I heard Caleb Williams was making, but that wasn't from USC's collective. That was from endorsements, national opportunities, Dr. Pepper, all that good stuff. If Carson Beck is asking for $4 million, that is one of the wildest requests I've ever heard. But I'll also say this. I totally believe it. One, I believe it because it came from a credible outlet, right? Dog Daily, covers Georgia, whatever. And the bottom line is, like, they have no reason to lie about that. Like there are times that a media outlet maybe, I don't want to say ever lies, but sometimes you fabricate the truth. Yeah, this guy, we hear he might be coming back when you know he probably isn't. Or you hear that, this assistant coach is happy when you know that he's probably going to take another job. There are times where you kind of exaggerate the truth, but to just put that out there like that, there is nothing for the outlet to gain other than hysteria within the fan base. So I believe the report is credible. It's from a credible outlet. But I also think there are a couple things that make this story unique that make me believe that this just might be true. One, as the article referenced, Georgia, which has now set a bar of national championship or bust, essentially, they're all of a sudden kind of thin at the quarterback position. Now, a lot of people would like to have the problems that Georgia has, but obviously if Carson Beck were to leave, you'd be entering the year of an expanded SEC with a much tougher schedule because there's no divisions. You don't get Vandy and South Carolina and all those schools every single year. And I know they get them on the schedule here and there, but you get the point. Add Texas, add Oklahoma. Now you got to go in with an inexperienced quarterback in the toughest the SEC has ever been. That is not ideal. And if Carson Beck were interested in coming back, but needed a little whatever to get him back, that's a heck of a play. Hey, my backup just left, Brock Vandagriff. He's going to Kentucky. He's going to be in the SEC. You're going to have to face him at some point. You really want to go out there without me, without him, now down to the third string, fourth string? Now, Georgia's third string and fourth string, as of right now, are not that bad. Gunnar Stockton, really highly rated recruit, barely stepped on the field this year because he was the third string. And of course, the number one quarterback in America, Dylan Raiola, is committed for the 2024 recruiting class. So it's not as though, Georgia's going to be going in there with, a 5'10" walk-on that no one ever heard of. Wink, wink, Stetson Bennett. But at the same time, if you were negotiating, Carson Beck has a little bit of leverage here. I also think it's worth noting, Carson Beck's kind of in an interesting spot where if he decided to declare, like he would get drafted, but maybe unless I've missed something, I haven't seen anything that says that, Carson Beck is a first-round NFL talent. And so if you're Carson Beck, I think you can look at it one of two ways. Is I can go be a second-round pick, a second-day pick, whatever, or I can come back and play my way into the first round. But here's the crazy part. I now have the leverage where I can potentially, if I play my cards right, make more. Part of it can be to come back and develop at the college level. But the other part is if I play my cards right, I can make more money than I would as a second-round pick anyway. Just for fun, went and looked it up. Will Levis, who was, of course, an early second-round pick last year. We all remember that whole situation. Just for fun, went and looked it up. Here is what his contract was to sign as a second-round pick in the NFL draft. His contract was a 4-year deal at roughly $2.39 million a year. Simple math, right? Carson Beck's projected between kind of a late first, early second round type pick. Well, you want me to come back and pass that money up, you got to at least match it and give me a little extra something on the side. I think that's part of it. I think the other thing is, if this is true, and I have no reason not to believe that it is, I think it's just good negotiating on his representation's part, right? Listen, I'm not a born negotiator. I try to have somebody else negotiate my contracts for this exact reason. I don't know what to ask for. I don't know what the market is. I'm afraid to ask for too much of my bosses, but I bring it up because that's why you have an agent. And now all of these high-profile college athletes, they all have agents. I think most of even the non-high-profile guys have agents. And so if you're a good agent and you're sitting there saying, well, he's going to make about 2.4 by being a second-round pick, if you're a good negotiator, and I'm not one of them, but I've seen it in action, you start at $4 million. You say that's where we want to be, and then if you end up at two even, 1.8, 2.4, whatever it ends up being, you still got your clients some pretty good money, right? So this is all part of the conversation. I think the opposite could be true as well. As somebody who works in college sports and covers college sports, I've dealt with some of these agents, and while a lot of these agents are top of the line, I would think if you're the quarterback of the Georgia Bulldogs, you have a big-time representation from a big-time agency. There are also a lot of small-time guys that don't really know the market either. I mean, I have literally dealt with some of these agents that you're like 24 years old. You've clearly never negotiated a contract, etc., and you don't even know what you're talking about. And I'm not going to name names, but obviously, again, I don't think it's the quarterback of Georgia, the starting point guard of Kentucky basketball, the starting, offensive tackle at Alabama. But some of these agents don't know what they're doing. So anyway, I'm going on and on. But I bring it up to say I saw this report and I just had to talk about it. Do I think it's 100% true? I have no reason not to believe it's true. And I think this is the new world of college football. Now, listen, the thing I'll say before I wrap, because I want to get to some other stuff. I do think like eventually this is all going to get figured out. We saw the Charlie Baker, new president of the NCAA. He came out this week and basically said, we need college football to break off from everything else because the finances are crazy. The portal is crazy. NIL is crazy, etc. And we need our own thing with our own rules. Now, we might have to share money with the players, might have to do some revenue sharing, but we can't have unlimited free agency, guys transferring every single year, stuff like that. So I bring it up because it is certainly an interesting time in college football. But I will say, of all the NIL rumors, I think this is just about the craziest one that I've ever seen. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. New episodes of the pod come out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But we're always dropping bonus clips just like this. Appreciate your support. Click subscribe, click like, share with a friend if you want. Appreciate your time.